Coming up today on JBYC.
Submarine cables. They're basically tubes, right?
Carbon nanotubes.
Tube socks.
All that and more on this Tubes episode of JBYC. Just because you can.
Annoyed hates hot quality pizza.
We all go like this. We all put our hands
He
up.
loves to make your hot pizza ice cold. Call Domino's Pizza and avoid the noise.
Are we
This city's
sponsored by
going down
Domino's?
tubes.
Are we gonna get
The
sued?
crime tubes.
Oh.
Hey everybody, it's Monday, March 25th, 2019. I'm Bobby Frankenberger, and you're listening to episode 1 of JBYC. Yeah, here, listen to this some more. This is the show where the three of us get together and talk about what's been on our minds in the past week. Every week we have a topic or a theme or something like that, and this week's theme is tubes. Why tubes? I don't know. Stick around and find out why tubes. That's just what we decided it was going to be. Before I go any further, let me introduce my fellow co-hosts, starting just below me here with Ryan. How's it going, Ryan?
Hey, good. Ow, I'm hitting my mic. Bad.
Bad, Ryan. Bad. How are you doing? Okay, this Monday Eve.
Yeah, it's kind of rainy here, so if I cut out, sorry.
That's okay. We'll forgive you. And then next up, our other co-host who is with us is American Johnson, or as we like to call him affectionately, EJ, or as he likes to try to get us to call him affectionately, Edge.
I think it'll catch up. You'll get used to calling me Edge.
I'm not so
You'll get used to it.
sure about
You didn't
that.
say it like that. Edge.
Edge.
The
Edge Lord.
So, yeah, how about that for our first episode? How about that? It's our first episode of JBYC, and I'm very excited about that. Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no. Are we being?
So
yeah.
we're still
being
working on
serious?
we're still working on Ryan here, trying to get him on board with the show.
He's not really.
Are we doing a bit?
His contract says he only has to do 2 episodes and then he can opt out.
Right, exactly. I'm gonna
Royalties.
So, story time. I did spend some time at the post office. 30 minutes at the post office because I had to send some stuff. Every once in a while I have to send some dice to people, and I had like 1 billion packages, and every 6 months I do international sending of those dice that I send to different people. And
What are these dice?
they're custom dice that I make. I have another YouTube channel called Complex Action. It's just I've got another YouTube. This isn't my only YouTube channel.
Don't lean into it. Keep on going.
Subscribe to non-compete.
Right. It's anyway, as one of the things I send to people on that is these custom dice that I make. But some of them are international. I had a ton of them to send, and the lady I think was so annoyed with me that she, halfway through doing all this stuff, she writes down on a piece of paper a phone number and hands it to me while she's still, doing all the packaging stuff. And she says, I say, what's this? And she says, call that number so that they can, something along the lines, call that number, they'll get you something so you can just do this all at your house and you don't have to bother us about it. Like, that's literally what she said.
I went to so the post office is like dying in the United States, right? Like they're constantly trying to get funds.
Exactly.
Well, it's being killed, yeah.
When I came to the U.S. to visit over the holidays, I had to ship out a bunch of stuff for my YouTube channel, Non-Compete, subscribe. I was shipping out like merch and stuff like that. So I was there for like 4 days in a row, shipping a lot of stuff and spending a lot of money. And every time I went there, they acted like I was like, and it was empty. There was nobody else there, like because it was in a rural post office. I was the only person there, and they just acted like I was just ruining their day every time. Just like, how dare you send packages? What do you think this is?
I know. What is their like they don't just sit there waiting for me to come up to the counter to give them stuff to ship. Okay, so I'm not one of these people who's like, I'm just gonna throw my French fries on the floor at the restaurant because I'm giving these workers a job. I'm not one of those people, so that's not what I'm doing here. But like, if I did not come to your place of business and give you things with which to do what I cannot.
Well, it's not a business. It is it's the problem is it's run by the government. We need to get rid of these government programs.
Here we go.
And it's intentionally
like the mail.
bled dry too. Yeah, it's starve the beast stuff. That's the term for it. Where you kill programs that people actually like.
I could be wrong about this, but I've heard, aren't postal workers, like, don't they have a pretty good job? Like, don't they have good benefits and get paid decently? I have no idea. It's just a thing I heard maybe like 15 years ago.
They had mandatory retirement, like prepaid funds at one point, and that's part of like the reason, and as I recall, for basically gutting the whole program.
I will say this: that if I were a mail person, if I were a post office employee, I would probably be really rude to everybody too, because I don't know. I feel like everyone, because it's not. I did complain about the like customer service representative or whatever you call it, but also every time you go to the post office, all of the customers are also assholes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like everyone, once you walk into a post office, you just enter asshole mode, and everyone's just frustrated about everything. And everyone is like always constantly shocked that it's expensive to mail stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's like, what? A stamp used to cost 15 cents.
How much does
and I feel that way too when I walk. The funny thing is, I also feel that way when I walk into a post office. There's something about that atmosphere, because even I will go in and I'll be bitter about the fact that it's expensive to mail things. You know what I'm saying? Even though in my brain, I know that's just the way it is now.
Yeah. No, I know, but they have the forever stamps now, so that solved everything. Aaron or EJ. I heard you have some bad. You've had a bad run-in with birds, I guess.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about how birds always poop on me all the time. I was reminded about it yesterday when a bird pooped on me.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
I've had a constant battle. When I was 6 years old, a bird pooped on me for the first time. I was sitting. I remember it.
So you remember this very clearly. 6 years old.
Oh yeah.
What were you?
Have you had a?
What were the circumstances of the event like?
Well, before I go into my sad tale, can I ask Ryan and Bobby, have you ever had birds poop on you before?
I have.
I think so, but I don't.
I think you'd remember it, Ryan. That's kind of the point I was going to say.
No, I'm
it's something
sure
you remember.
I've been pooped on by a bird before, but I do not remember the specifics at all.
When a bird poops on you, it really feels like a classic Greek tale. It feels like a myth or a legend or something. It's like a
something momentous just happened.
Yeah, right, exactly. A boon, but the opposite of a boon. I guess an omen or something. Because it's like you're doing whatever you're doing. You're living your normal life, and then something amazing and horrible happens. It's just literally from the sky, right?
Well, you're right.
The first time it happened to me,
good luck. In some,
is it good luck?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I'm the luckiest guy you know, because when I was 6 years old, I got pooped on. I was sitting on my back porch, and I was literally just standing there, like looking around, like thinking about what to play. Like, should I go to the backyard and pretend to be a G.I. Joe, or should I go to the garage and play with my remote control car, something like that, you know? And then and then a bird poop just landed on my head, and I was just like,
it was
happened?
The bird was trying to send you a message. It said, "Life's too short. Stop worrying about it."
It was the bird of decisiveness.
Yes, absolutely. I was eating lunch with you guys in high school when a bird pooped on my leather jacket, that bomber jacket I used to wear. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. See, that's like I said, you remember things like that. Mm-hmm. And then, it happened periodically throughout my life. The worst incidents was when I was on this trip through Korea, and the whole plan was I was going to take a 3-day bicycle trip to a monastery, like a Buddhist temple monastery thing, and do like a temple stay. So this whole thing was like a soul searching experience. And there's one day when I'm taking a rest by the river, because the whole ride is along this beautiful river. And I'm sitting there, and it's very peaceful. And you know what a crane is, right? It's like the national bird of Korea is like this big, beautiful crane. And they're huge. And he's like, walking around in the water, and the light is like pouring in. It's like the early morning. And then it takes off. And when these birds take off, it's like slow motion. They're so huge, and their wings are so big, and they just slowly take off. And it's like soaring, and it's coming right towards me. And I'm just like amazed by nature. And then it's like the biggest bird shit ever just lands on my head.
Well, see, like that
from
I
the
would
crane.
remember.
And I'm all alone. And I look around, and it's just like, did that really just happen? It was just amazing and horrible. I had to like pick bird shit out of my hair for hours.
Yeah.
And then yesterday a bird pooped on me again.
Oh, I feel sorry for you. I'm sorry. I can't. I don't know what else to say. But I'm gonna randomly pick a stinger here and see how it works. Let's see.
Callie's dad got bit by a penguin on a beach in South Africa about 15 years ago. That's a pretty amazing story. My cousin got bit by a pelican at Charlestown Landing one time.
I've been bit by several parrots, and they're all.
Oh yeah, Ryan's got the whole
creatures.
parrot.
I've been pooped on
Ryan
by
used to-
parrots before, actually. I remember that now.
Oh, so yeah, Ryan
a bird.
fought parrots.
Yeah, I know.
It counts.
Bobby keeps forgetting
Bobby
that we're
coming
not
in.
his children.
That's a bird. Did you know? Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Ready? We're doing this. All right. Ryan is. We're gonna talk a little bit about. We've got tubes to talk about. That's the whole point. So if you guys weren't aware. And why would you be? This is episode 1 of JBYC. But the whole every week on this show, we're going to have sort of a theme that's going to guide us in our discussion, and whether or not we stick to that theme very closely or, whatever, that's still to be seen. But, we're going to give it the old college try. But Ryan, so we're talking about tubes. Speaking of having bad audio and talking to people that are across the world, like EJ, how does that actually happen? This is the worst segue. I'm going to work on it. How does that actually?
I will help you. So it happens via submarine communication cables.
It's a system of tubes.
Yeah, they're tubes. Like, I guess they're tubes. Here, I'll show you. So this is a good little close up, but like they're all over the damn place, and like they make them go through Mediterranean. Like it keeps on going.
Oh,
through,
so those what we're looking at. This is for people listening or watching live.
So I'm showing a
podcasting.
map, and I have the website on it. It's submarinecablemap.com. Very easy to remember. But they have all like the 285 modern communication cables that are used internationally.
285? That doesn't seem like a lot, does it?
I mean, they only had to connect to major
For
ports.
the whole world?
I mean, that seems like a lot to me. Like, I mean, there's more major ports, sure, but like it only has to get to like a landline, and then you're good to go.
I mean, when you're looking at the map, it looks like a lot. It looks like a map of the world, and you've got pieces of multicolored yarn connecting. Like when the detectives are trying to figure out where the fugitive has gone, or the conspiracy theorists are trying to connect things. It's like that.
It is a corkboard pin kind of map. Mm-hmm. Yes. And so that's why I'm moving to a little bit closer. Let me see this one. I have it zoomed in a little bit, like the Mediterranean, and so you see these like major pipelines basically of communication. And I think that's really interesting. Where like 99.9% of all communication goes through these things, and then it goes the rest. The 0.01 is via land or satellite.
99.9% of all communication goes through all the cables around the world that are under the
No,
water.
And there's several routes, and that's what makes it so foolproof. That like they break all the time, and they get cut all the time. Like sharks bite them because they sense the electricity.
Because sharks
like all
are
sorts of
assholes.
dumb stuff like that. And so they have ways to fix them. Plus, like they have back routes to go. Like EJ was talking earlier when I brought this up about like people cutting the cables in Vietnam.
Yeah, so in Vietnam, there's one really big tube, underwater tube of internet that you could actually kind of see it. It goes in right straight into Vietnam through the ocean, and it's kind of where like it's the backbone of the Vietnamese global internet connection. And every few months, fishermen will cut it by accident.
Yeah,
and there's actually a
trawlers will cut
meme.
these pretty often.
There's a Vietnamese meme that like sharks eat them.
No, there's video of the sharks
That's a
biting
meme. That doesn't
cables.
sound like
really?
a meme. That sounds
Yeah.
like whatever.
I thought about having video also, but there is YouTube. You can find it pretty quickly, like sharks submarine cables, and you'll find them like they sense electricity, and that's kind of how sharks kind of hunt in general. So they kind of go at them. Nowadays they get buried, and they get buried by this. I wonder if I have a picture of that guy. They get buried by this giant plow thing. That's the underwater thing they put in the water, and they drag it by a boat.
Oh yeah.
So it's basically just like
here we go. Hold on.
double skied massive thing for the people that are listening, and in the middle they have like a inserter for putting the cable underground, like maybe I think it's like a foot, and then it kind of tilts it, so it gets dragged across the floor, and then the boat just kind of filters cable down.
Destroy the seabed.
Yeah, and then
We need cat memes.
a remote control vehicle goes behind it and like smooths it out. It's just this weird giant plow thing.
It seems like so. Like, how is the internet? How is this the way things work? It seems like this is what you would have thought of to make the internet work. You know.
Well, I know where you're going with that. And in the 19th century, they did have international like telegraph lines. And the interesting thing about that is, to insulate the cable back then, they didn't really have like rubber, so they used something called gutta percha. I read about this in a book about golf.
And it
I read
really did badly.
Gutta percha was like made out of a plant, and it's like a natural rubber. And yeah, it literally eroded like constantly, so they'd have to always constantly be relaying these cables. But also, it created a shortage of the material for golf balls, so there was like a golf ball shortage for a while in the 19th century.
Yeah, and like the 1820s,
Not so fun
1830s,
fact.
they were doing those cables in like Britain, Ireland, Scotland, and like moving them to France. Like basically that upper area where you see in like the middle of my screen right now for people that are watching. This is the 1902 map of the original telegraph cables.
You know what? That map bears a close resemblance to the internet tubes map.
Yes, it does.
At
this
It's
time,
almost like they're both the same planet.
Yeah. At this time, like the British like owned every single telegraph cable, so it was like a monopoly, and it was like the whole like empire kind of thing.
But
so
what didn't they own? Am I right?
Yeah.
Oh, colonialism.
And I think it's just really interesting. Like you're right, because like the Atlantic cables in particular are like just a ton of them going across, and then there's like kind of filters everywhere else. And I just think it's cool that like this backbone that we don't really think about, like these cables, the new ones, the fiber optic ones, are I think it's like a what would they say? They said like a magic marker. Here we go. So like that. It's like a nothing cable. Like
We can't see your thing because we're still looking at the map.
Oh,
I know what a magic marker looks like.
Yeah.
okay. I had it in the corner, but I forgot that you streamline it or reformat it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's like a nothing cable that they use this massive plow and like a ship, and it costs hundreds of millions of dollars to lay these cables.
No, wait.
it's
Are
just-
you telling me that the internet cable that's how thick it is?
Yeah,
Is as
Yeah,
thick as a Sharpie?
the fiber
marker?
optic cables that they use are that thin.
They need to
And
beef
if
those
you're-
mother effers up.
No, they don't need to because they bury them and they're insulated.
Oh,
so
right.
I think they need to beef up the one the sharks keep eating in Vietnam. Personally,
Maybe.
Sharks, scare quotes.
I don't know if you can see that, but I put up a little like it looks like a huge thing. There's like 8 layers to this cable, to this tube. But yeah, it's only a magic marker in size.
Wow.
I kind of like that.
I feel like that we gotta get past the undersea internet stage. But
What do you-
but aren't
what do you-
companies
it's
doing that?
Super
Like,
reliable.
isn't Elon Musk working on that or something with SpaceX? He's going to send internet satellites into the world and solve the world internet shortage.
Are you just putting words together randomly?
No.
most people who are talking about Elon Musk are just putting words together randomly in my experience.
Well, fair enough. No, here we go.
He didn't
Space
say car or anything.
SpaceX.
Oh, like SpaceX is trying to do like commerce and stuff like that, and not vacation. What would you call it? Like pulling people that have lots of money into space and getting money off of them.
I got it right
They're
here.
making it's an exit plan for when they destroy the planet.
I got it right here. SpaceX gets
an
nod to
escape
put
pod.
12,000 satellites in orbit. It gets the green light from U.S. authorities to put a constellation of nearly 12,000 satellites into orbit to boost cheap wireless internet access by the 2020s. So,
I mean, okay. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, if we had ISPs in America, for instance, that actually like use the money we gave them to build infrastructure.
Probably be a little better.
Yeah,
But
so like,
no, I
I can
mean-
see like, okay, let's put up $1 million satellites, multi-million-dollar satellites.
yeah,
It's
that's a good way to waste money.
I think
Well,
the
okay.
cable is.
Here's one last thing about that. Like the shelf life for these cables is only like 20 years. So they have like 20 or 30 that are dark, that are not lit yet, as they call it, so that they're not being used, but they're there for the future proofing. So like, I don't know what a satellite shelf life is.
I don't know, but they're starting to. There's like this international organization or this international something that's being worked on where they're wanting everyone to agree to that anytime you put a satellite up into space, you have to like have an exit plan for your satellite now.
Yeah, there's a lot
We
of
have a lot of junk already.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a great idea, I'm just
including
saying.
a freaking car.
Yeah.
A
Put up
Tesla
by
car.
Speaking of Elon,
That was
SpaceX.
responsible, very responsible use
yeah, but
of our
Thunder
base.
crash.
but it was cool, right? It was cool.
It was a
People
good
were making
move.
conspiracy theories about that like they had a body in there and he was trying to get rid of someone or something like that.
Well, what a
There was
great
like
way
a-
to get rid of a body that is in there, right? To send it up in a car into space and then like tell everyone about it.
Yeah, but no one's ever get to that car. Like, it is safe, actually.
Well, now that you mention it, it's like hiding in plain sight.
Sort of, except that no one's going to see it. I don't know if you can see the car or not. I imagine if you really were like keyed in on the
You can see the space station. I still haven't seen it fly past the sky, but we need to. Here's what we're gonna do here.
Oh, I'm getting cut off.
There's another random stinger. So I got a fun thing I want to do with you guys. You ready?
Yeah.
Sure.
Of course you are. What we're going to do is I figured since our topic is tubes, and we're all children of the 90s.
I thought you were just going to say children.
Who is our who is our hero, our childhood hero who spent a lot of times in tubes?
Leonardo?
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well,
No?
that I wish I would have run
Sewer
this
sharks.
past you guys. I should have run this past you guys before the
Zip
show.
and
That way you could have said
the
Mario, of course.
Battletoads. Oh, yeah, Mario.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Mario.
a good
So
one.
originally the idea was I was going to come up with a quiz where you guys had to name Mario Brothers game game titles that were released that featured Mario, and see how far you can go back and forth until one person can't do it anymore or slips up. And there are way too many games, so I decided to narrow it down to just the 90s, since we are, of course, 90s
That's
kids
harder.
ourselves. Yeah, because it was the heyday, right?
Oh, no, I knew I would beat Aaron, too, because I know the modern ones.
So I had to give Aaron a fighting, or EJ. I had to give EJ a fighting
yeah, I didn't
chance.
think about it. I'm sorry.
But
Words.
anyway, we're gonna go and start anytime from 1990 to 1999, so the 90s, as I've already said, and to give you guys kind of like a calibration point. In fall of 1990 was when the Super NES was released, and at the end of 1989 was when the Game Boy was released. So
See, none of this makes sense to me because in South Carolina, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And
yeah, things got released in weird times and weird places, and everybody got things earlier than us and all that kind of
Edge,
stuff.
think of the movie The Wizard,
Mm-hmm.
not the Michael Jackson one.
The Power Glove one.
Yes.
Power Glove.
That'll be your first one.
All right, so here we go. Ready? We're gonna start with EJ. We're gonna give him since he can grab an easy one maybe.
Wow.
Well,
Passive aggressive. All right.
Ryan is feeling cocky, so I wanted to.
No, I'm not. Like I said, I know the modern ones.
All right, so all you got to do is name a Mario title.
I get it.
Okay.
I get it. Thanks.
All right, let's go. Let's see what you got.
I just have to name a Mario title from the 90s?
Yeah,
Right?
You said you got it, right?
Super Mario World.
Bing bong, bing bong.
Super Mario World, indeed, correct. Super Mario World released in 1990 on the SNES. You got it. It was
Right
known
on the
in
edge.
Japan as.
That's why you should call me Edge, because I'm right on the edge.
Right. Super Mario, known in Japan
the
as Super
90s.
Mario World Super Mario Brothers 4.
Oh, didn't know they
I
put a
did
4
not
on
know
it.
that. So, all right, all right,
Cool.
Ryan, you're up. Let's see what you got.
Super
Remember,
Mario
first one to slip up
RPG.
or repeat, or what did you say? Super Mario RPG?
Yeah.
Super Mario RPG was 1996.
Squaresoft, I
Yeah.
think. Right? Squaresoft? Is that
It's
right?
like Enix or
Square
Square
Enix
by
now,
itself.
but at the time it was Squaresoft, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm a fake gamer, so.
You're a fake gamer, yeah. Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. I don't think I ever beat that one.
I did.
I borrowed it. I think I borrowed it from EJ when we were kids.
I got the puppet guy, and then
I don't remember anything about it.
spoiler alert, you can play as Bowser. I think that's the first time you could play as Bowser.
Wow.
It was pretty interesting. And
All right, EJ, you're up.
yeah. Oh, Super Mario 64.
Super Mario 64, eh? Are you sure about that? Are you sure that was in the 90s?
Yes. Because
Okay.
I remember it. I lived there.
All right, Super Mario 64 released in 1996, the 3D action adventure platformer game released for the launch title for the Nintendo 64.
Mhm.
So
The
Remember going to
N64
Toys R
is what we
Us
used
and
to
like
call it.
moving the face around.
the face
Oh, yeah.
around. Was there
The
like
demo
a big,
mode.
In Super Mario, you like there's a big like 3D face of Mario, and you can like deform it.
Demo mode.
Oh,
Basically,
I don't remember. I don't remember that. That was a good game.
Yeah.
Search Super Mario 64.
It does not hold
I mean, they
up
keep-
though.
Well, they keep re-releasing it
Do they?
again and again and again. Yeah.
Are you sure those aren't
like
just
10,000.
other 3D Mario games?
yeah, those are
no.
Galaxy and
Believe it or not, they have one where you could. They have one for the Game Boy thing.
Oh,
DS,
right, the Game Boy thing.
And then they have one for the console.
those are
console.
the Mario Brothers Deluxe and stuff like that. I think, but it doesn't.
They
matter.
there is definitely one. You can talk to Yoshi or something on the roof.
That's
remember
that only
saw a
ever
video
happened
about
in
it.
one game. Ryan, you're up.
Paper Mario.
Paper Mario.
I feel like you should have the list already. There's only gonna be like what 12 of them.
No,
This is
there
easy.
are.
You should have chosen.
There are.
You should have
a
chosen
lot.
like. If you chose the 2000s or the 2010s, then I would lose because I don't know anything about video games after 1999.
Yeah, well, Paper Mario was a Paper Mario game. It was a Mario game that featured Mario. I'm just saying tautological things right now. Anyway, it was a game for the Nintendo 64 that was unfortunately released in 2000.
Hooray, we're done.
Just out. You can't sabotage this segment.
I
I'm going to sabotage it though with my next reply. Are you ready?
Yes.
already lost, dude.
The Wario, Super Wario. I
Yeah.
can't remember the name of it, but the Wario game.
Wario. No,
No, WarioWare is not the 90s, Ryan.
I don't know what this Game Boy
Lest
game
you
is.
forget.
I mean, there's
Super Wario.
the first Wario game was Mario and Wario, 1993 SNES.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So I get a point.
I mean, you don't get any points. The game's over.
You won.
Oh,
You already won.
who won?
You did.
How did I win? We both got all the right answers.
He said
No,
Paper,
Paper Mario
Mario,
is
which was
2000.
released in 2000. It was not in the 90s.
Paper Mario was released in 2000. Yeah, I didn't know that.
All right. Good job, guys. Let's do this.
Kale Analog in the chat suggested Mario teaches typing, which is what your children need.
Oh,
Bobby.
jeez.
Yeah,
So
Mario.
they can learn how to type with their.
That was a PC release. You know, there were several PC
Yeah, I should have
released
said Super Mario
games.
Land. I think that's the Game Boy one.
The Game Boy version of Mario teaches typing.
No, it was like a Super Mario Land, like a Game Boy only one. And he flies an airplane in the end of it.
It's like you can only spell the word ABBA, the hit
Yeah.
80s band ABBA.
Or Bab. Oh,
Bab.
Good job.
Babs Bunny. You can spell
killed
Babs,
that
the
one.
name
Yours
of
was
the
better.
bunny
Yours was better.
from Tiny Toons.
All right.
Or
anyway,
you can spell the
so-
words select or start.
Right. Select start. Gotcha.
Bring us back in.
Here we go. All right. So I thought we were talking about tubes, and the first thing that popped into my head, have you guys heard of carbon nanotubes?
Yes.
asking
Stop
us?
laughing at me.
Yeah.
No,
I-
I'm
when we were in
I'm
college,
joy. You're
was in
thrilling
a-
me with joy.
Yeah.
I was in a nanotechnology program. I taught about nanotechnology.
Oh,
I
my
forgot
gosh,
about that.
you're
Ryan
right.
was a professor of nanotubes. Ryan, you need to have a pair of mirror.
I never
Mirror-
understood that. EJ, so like tell me if I'm wrong. Like we were all friends in college and
Yeah.
Wrong.
like on a wrong already. We were
Go on,
and it was like once a week Ryan would go off and be like, I got this
Internship.
nanotech thing that I'm going to. But like that's all we ever heard about it. Didn't you think
Oh, yeah.
that
Well, Ryan never talked about like it was a mystery, a secret, his life.
You guys ever ask any questions? No, you wouldn't watch Touched by an Angel.
we
yeah.
had to
We
do
were
something
really
while
touched
you
by-
were changing the world with nanotechnology.
I was just told.
Some of us had
I was
important
told
things to do,
about it.
Ryan.
I wasn't really changing anything.
What
It was
did-
a public
Watch Touched
outreach
by an
program.
Angel.
was it like? Was it like you were teaching people about nanotechnology? I feel like
Yeah.
I do remember one thing. You said it was like interdisciplinary or something. Like there
Yeah, it
were-
was the South Carolina Public Outreach Program for Nanotechnology.
and you just
So
just
we went to
told
different
people that it
colleges and
existed.
we told former professors about stuff and like what's happening because there's a nanotechnology institute at the University of South Carolina with a big spectrum microscope. I can't remember what the big ones are anymore, but it was doing that level of imaging. But I'm stepping on your section.
You are
so,
you're stepping on it with permission. So carbon nanotubes are. I feel like you hear about them constantly, but what are they, right?
silicon.
Every time I turn around,
I don't think I hear about them constantly.
I do. We read different things.
Will everyone just shut up about carbon nanotubes already?
I listen to a lot of science
I've heard
podcasts.
enough about them.
Oh, geez! Every time I turn around, carbon nanotubes. This,
Oh, the future. Ugh.
but anyway, so I thought I would read about some carbon nanotubes. Take the opportunity to learn about what's the hype about carbon nanotubes. What's the deal? So do you guys know what? It's amazing. Do you guys know what graphene is? Okay, I
A
realize.
pencil lead where like the way it shaves off, like that's the like carbon in general, the way it cuts is like it's all sideways, as I remember at the molecular level, but I don't really remember anything specific about it.
They're really small little tubes made of carbon.
That's actually
That's my guess.
That's more true than you might realize. So here's carbon nanotubes at its base are sheets of graphene that are rolled up into tubes that are no more than like somewhere between 10 and 100 nanometers in diameter, which is like dozens or hundreds of times thinner than a human hair. But graphene, so all that is just carbon atoms that are arranged in like a hexagon. So like imagine you're playing BattleTech, and or and each
The
of the
most
little
relatable example you could use.
or Heroscape. So we got where are my tabletop nerds at, right? So you guys know what I'm talking about.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
We are old.
So it's
You could say like a stop sign, couldn't you?
that's an octagon,
Or a
my
hexagon.
friend.
People know basic shapes.
I don't know. I don't know them.
So you take carbon
Speak for-
atoms and you arrange them into hexagons, and you make a whole giant
Honeycombs.
sheet out of it. Honeycombs, there's a good one. He did a whole public outreach program though. He's
I'm just saying hexagon shapes. Go on.
So, and if you make an entire sheet of that out of carbon molecules, that's graphene. All right. Now,
isn't it really dangerous and it'll give you like the worst black lung?
No, you might be thinking of coal.
No. I know what I'm talking about, even if no one else in the world does.
So the cool thing about this is is that when carbon is laid out in this structure, the molecules are so arranged that they're really tightly bound because of the molecular forces, just the way that they're arranged, and it's incredibly strong. This really molecule thin structure of just one sheet of a molecule of carbon arranged in these hexagons. So strong, it's literally the strongest material that's ever been tested. All right, it's super.
But it's tensile.
Is it even stronger than Flex Seal?
You mean even stronger than Gorilla Tape? Yes.
It's the tensile force, right? It's the actual pulling that's the strength. It's not
actually
the cross.
Yes,
the
that's
cross
true.
is like super weak.
Right. Actually, yes, the tensile strength. When you, and it's even stronger.
Like an egg.
Yeah. You ever tried to squeeze an egg? And you
No,
just
and also
can't.
like the dome thing, or like the top and the bottom of an egg are actually a lot stronger than the sides of it.
Right. Exactly.
When I was a kid, my teacher told me it was impossible to break an egg with your hand by squeezing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went home and told my dad that, and he squeezed the egg, and it just splattered all over our living room.
And then you got grounded.
Yeah, by my He-Man father.
Yeah. Well, so this graphene stuff, you roll it up into tubes and it gets even stronger. And that's what, Ryan, you're talking about. So it's the strongest material ever been tested. In fact, the tensile strength, which is what you're talking about. It's in these kind of like cables you can think about, or strings. Mm-hmm. And when you try to pull them,
or tubes.
Pull the ends apart, or tubes, in fact. If you grab the ends and pull them apart, it's so strong, it's 400 times stronger than steel, but the density is 1/6 that of steel, so it's extremely lightweight. It's got a better thermal conductivity than diamond. Apparently, diamond conducts heat really well, and but this is better. And let's see. Did we? There he goes. It's extremely resistant to corrosion, so it can be mixed with chemicals a lot, and it won't degrade really well. So it's like this super material. All right. And
so back then we were putting it.
What do you do with it?
In 2006, we were putting in pants and then tossing wine on the pants to show that they won't stain.
But that's really cool, right? No,
like when you get stain like resistant pants, it's usually technology like that nowadays.
Right. So
nanotubes?
Yep.
Nanotubes. Well, it's actually surprisingly simple to create these nano structures of carbon. So you can make graphene in your very own home. Remember Ryan was talking about
no way.
Yeah. I'll tell you how. Remember Ryan was talking about pencil lead. Well, graphene is literally just graphite that has been laid out. Like Ryan said, it's just graphite that's been laid out into a single layer
Bobby,
sheet. Yes?
I want to stop you right now. I don't have any money to invest in your startup, so.
Well, don't worry, because all you have to do is you take the graphite and you just tell 3 of your friends about it, and then they'll tell 3 of their friends, and then it'll pay off.
So it's like I'll be like one level of multiple levels.
Yes, it's a multiple
pyramid silo
level carbon program.
Do they have nano pyramids? Because that would be pretty sweet.
In fact, they might, but they're not as strong. They're not as strong as carbon nanotubes, though. But you take a pencil lead, because they're all made of graphite, and you scrubble's not a word. You scribble it on a piece of paper, and then if you take like a piece of tape and lay it on top and just peel it off, and if you're able to get one layer, that's a sheet of graphene, right there.
And that's like pencil lead.
What can you do with it? Can I put it on my pants?
Like, not that. Don't do that, because that'll stain.
But you just said it wouldn't stain.
The pencil lead.
I don't believe in any science anymore.
You shouldn't.
You're all filled with lies and contradictions.
Poppycock. But yeah, that's because like graphite, lead in particular, that's the way the molecules, the way they connect, as I recall, like that's why we can use them as pencils as we do, because it just shaves off instead of like breaking.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that a pencil is a nanotube? It's a tube of nanotubes?
It's evolved nanotube. Yes. Like a Pokemon.
So you keep asking, EJ, what can you do with these things? Well, I'm glad you asked.
I just found out you can make a pencil. That's pretty useful.
There's actually a ton of really cool applications for carbon nanotubes because, like I said, they're incredibly strong. They're very super conductive, but they're also electrically conductive, and so they'll conduct electricity really well. That's what electrically conductive means. So anyway.
So why don't we make the internet tubes under the sharks keep eating, make those out of nanotubes?
That's made out of glass, which is pretty close.
Yeah, I think that light still travels faster, which is what those are. So one thing you can do with carbon nanotubes, you can spray it onto to spray batteries. This is a recent test that's been done recently. You can put it inside of the spray, and you can spray the anode and cathode layers of a battery onto things. And so you can just like spray it onto a surface and turn that surface into a battery.
It sounds dangerous.
It's maybe, but
it sounds like you would. It sounds like a villain would use it to make a trap that like James Bond would step on.
Or Macaulay Culkin. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Macaulay Culkin. That's like Macaulay Culkin 2020.
I know what we'll do.
This kid sprayed nanotubes all over the floor and electrified them.
He sprayed the doorknob of nanotubes.
We'll spray this doormat with nano batteries, and every time he steps on it, it'll charge it just a tiny bit.
Worst Macaulay Culkin impression ever.
Yeah,
I was doing a villain. I was.
Yeah. He's the good guy in the
film.
film.
Doesn't Macaulay Culkin talk like this?
The Sticky Finger Bandits? They're the bad guys.
All right. You can use it to create better adhering dental implants. Apparently, you can monitor nitric oxide blood levels, which is really cool. So they're talking about nitric oxide. Now listen, you put these implants in your blood, and you can detect changes in nitric oxide level, which I think leads to, I don't know, it changes whenever something bad's happening to you. I didn't read that far into the article.
Well, I can explain like a facet of that. So
Yes.
like they use couplers. I can't remember what they're actually called, but basically you have a molecule that wants to detect, I don't know, cancer. And so it goes in connected, and when it finds it, it pops like that, and that's how you're able to tell. Because usually it's called doping. You might know buckyballs.
Yeah.
So that's C60. I think it's 60 carbon atoms in a big ball.
I think so.
And so you dope them. You put something that'll react to, say, cancer or like something else inside it, and then you have a something on the outside that'll pop it or open it when it detects it. Things like that are how they would like. Well, one of the ways that you can detect using the nanotechnology.
Yeah. So that we, I'll cut to the most exciting use that I've seen so far. There's all sorts of things like oil spill cleanup and water desalination and all useful, boring
Oceans.
stuff.
Fish.
But protecting the environment.
Birds.
Yeah. So, but you can use these to make artificial muscles that are 200 times stronger than real muscles. So,
What?
So what they do
So I could be like a muscle person?
is they take these carbon nanofibers and they spin them into a yarn, because Rumpelstiltskin is involved somehow. And what they do is they
Muscles are woven. Yeah.
they take those carbon nanotube yarns and they dope them, Ryan. They infuse them with a paraffin wax. And so what this does is it creates this waxy kind of thing, and they can put a bunch of them together. And when they apply an electric current to it, changing the temperature slightly, what it does is it causes these the tubes to contract, kind of like what are those things as a kid you put your fingers in and they get trapped and you can't get them out? I don't know.
Finger traps.
Yeah, finger
traps. Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. You know how when you squeeze one, it gets wider, like the diameter or the aperture of the tube gets wider. and then when you pull on it, it gets thinner. So the same sort of thing happens to these wax doped. That sounds funny. That guy's wax doped. Yeah.
Speaking of the 90s.
Yeah, it does sound 90s.
90s slang.
And what'll happen
90s
is
AF.
they apply it and they contract, and it causes the artificial muscle to contract like a real muscle. And they've been able to give it a lifting force 200 times stronger than an actual muscle. So that's like BioWare for all my Shadowrun fans out there. We're talking about.
So when can I get my nano muscles installed?
Now
I want to invest in your startup.
I got you now, didn't I?
I want to get on the ground floor of these multiple levels. No, wait, you want to be on the top of the multiple levels, don't you?
You want to get on the ground floor.
Is this an inverted pyramid scheme?
Yes.
A pyramid funnel?
Yeah, it funnels.
A pyramid upside down.
It's a pyramid funnel. A funnel scheme.
A funnel scheme. It's a funnel cake. All right.
I want to get on the ground floor.
Let's. Well, you are in it to win it. All right. Let's talk more about tubes. What do you got, EJ?
Got it.
Well, have you ever heard of? Here's a little fun little trivia question. Do you know what these are?
Socks.
Yes.
What kind of sock?
They're
Rainbow socks.
They're rainbow tube socks. For those our podcast listeners, they're tube socks.
Oh, yeah, they're tube socks.
Boo.
So I'm going to teach you all a little bit about the fascinating world of tube socks.
What are they made with?
Well, you can make them out of wool or cotton or synthetic fabrics as well. It's one of the great things about tube socks is how versatile they are. As this Smithsonian.com article put it in there, I want to do a whole thing one day about the first lines of articles, because the first lines of articles in the news are always so terrible, especially like feature articles.
I think you call it the lead, right?
Yeah, the lead. Leads are always terrible. Journalistic leads are always terrible. So especially if they're for like soft stories. So for instance, if you're an American down to your toes, those toes have probably been clad in tube socks at one time or another.
Good one.
It's true though.
Yeah,
really,
they're just speaking the straight truth.
Pulitzer material. But anyway, tube socks are really incredible because they've revolutionized socks around the world. So, yeah.
Are you still reading the article?
What makes them tube socks? Like, why are they called tube socks?
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that, Bob, in a moment.
These are the pressing questions.
Before tube socks were invented, socks were pretty complicated. You had to make, well, for instance, you know how your foot is shaped and it has an ankle right next to it.
You sound like an alien. You sound like a person that's never heard of anything before.
So
Well,
you know about the human ankle.
No.
So you've got your foot, and then the two nubs that.
Then you have the
I want you to. I don't know if you're wearing shoes right now. If you're not, like me, I'm barefooted. Look at your foot right now,
and then
just move it around.
Ever. That's gross.
And move your toes. Well, you could do it in your shoe. You could do it in your shoe. You could do it out of a shoe. But just look at how much your foot moves.
It does move
a lot. Your foot moves a lot.
I'm moving it around.
You can move your ankle. You can twist your foot. You can move your little toes. You can move your toes individually. They don't even have to move it together. So before we had like modern stretchy material and, socks had to be pretty carefully tailored. Hosiery, as we call it in the sock biz, had to be carefully made to conform to all of this mobility and anatomy. And so then what had happened was in the 1940s and 50s, basketball and other and soccer also, or as our friends across the pond would say, football, got really popular. Not in the 40s, that was actually before that. But people were playing a lot of sports. And then to play sports when it's hot outside, you want to wear shorts, right?
Right.
And so people wanted. So here's what. So I'm sorry. I shouldn't have prepared notes for this.
You should not have.
I'm really bad at
Wait,
working from
the notes is making it worse.
Yes.
You're telling me that the notes are your problem.
The notes are my problem. I'm having a hard time. I have really bad ADHD.
I
Okay, no, but
imagine-
listen.
hold the notes up.
Yeah, I imagine
They're on
playing
my tablet.
football would have been
That-
uncomfortable.
looking down
with,
doesn't help you.
Football would have been uncomfortable with sock garters.
Well, yes. So, yes, that's a really key point. Before the invention of modern elastics and advanced knitting technology, people had to wear sock garters, which were like uncomfortable straps that you had to wear that keep your socks from falling down. And one reason was that it was considered very sloppy to wear short socks or socks that were falling down with your shorts, especially in the 1950s. In fact, Esquire magazine, the famous journal of men's fashion and other things of interest to men, put it this way: high risers, which is what you call short shorts.
Okay.
That's pretty good. No, they called short shorts high risers back then, and they said, which were becoming very fashionable, and they said, high risers look like the devil unless you wear high rise socks with them. High risers are usually 18 inches, but the rule to follow is get them up to your kneecaps, your socks. You can turn over a cuff or not. It doesn't matter so long as they don't end halfway down your calf. So it was considered, and I could show you, it was considered really unfashionable to do, to do something like this. That was considered just sloppy and uncouth. You don't want to have these
So
short
you're talking
socks.
about like socks that come, like it says, halfway up your calf, like your
This is
lower
what they
leg.
would prefer. Well, hold on. That's a tube sock. This is what they would prefer. With this gentleman right here is an icon of fashion because his socks
to pull
come
that
up
sock
just
all the way right below the knee.
Yeah, this was considered the most fashionable, correct thing to do in the 1950s and 60s. This guy's doing okay. You know, he's a little bit low, I guess, for the era. But I don't know. This looks like it's a little later than the 50s. So this could be a time when sock fashions are starting to go through some changes.
Kareem
But
Abdul-Jabbar. Keep on going.
I don't know anything about sports at all.
Keep on going.
So anyway, okay, hold on. I have to unlock my notes.
So
Screen with
you're
my
talking
pattern.
about
Okay.
the length that most your regular everyday business socks go up to. That was considered to be.
You don't want to wear those with your short shorts.
Right. Well, that's still not fashionable.
I mean,
I'm
I'm
not contradicting.
I'm not
you.
gonna fashion shame anybody, but you be the judge.
I'm not sure, and I'm not contradicting.
I mean,
you.
this-
I'm just saying, like,
This fella
I like
has
the
nice,
little magnifying
nice
glass.
legs. Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah. So the tube sock itself was invented by the Nelson Knitting Company, of Illinois, in 1967. Okay.
That's pretty late.
Which was, by the way, just incidentally, the same year that America's first soccer league was established.
coincidence.
Yes.
No, it's not a
Maybe.
coincidence. It's because
No.
soccer was getting more popular and people were buying a lot of socks,
Who'd have thunk it?
tall socks. So just so you know, there are true tube socks. These are true tube socks. These are shaped like a tube.
Right.
All right.
So tube socks, you're talking like straight up 80s, like high school gym
Athletic
socks.
wear.
Yeah. Now, if you grew up like we did in the post tube sock invention era, it might be kind of odd to say like, well, socks have always been shaped there's always been tube shaped socks, but that wasn't true in 1966 before the invention of the tube sock. So when the tube sock came out, it was a novelty. It raised eyebrows. You might say to your friend while you're getting dressed in the gym, "Hey, Bobby, those socks are shaped like tubes. How do you have them conform to your human foot and have
Hey,
full range of mobility?"
well, I'll tell you
That might
how.
be something you'd say.
This is how people talked in 1967, isn't it?
It was, yes, that's right, Bob.
I bought
And then they
these down
shocked-
at the Dick's Sporting Goods.
Now here's a question for all of you dicks out there. Why
Yeah.
did you say dicks? You really threw me off with that. A true tube sock. Okay, no, I already said that. No. Also, why do you think they decided to make it shaped like a tube? Any guesses? Why would you shape it like a tube?
Your leg is shaped like a tube.
Your leg is kind of like a. I'm not going to say flesh tube. Oh, I just said flesh tube.
Jeez, Bob.
Like that's the same way that a garter works. It's a circular device on the top of wherever you want wherever you want.
I'm going to give you a hint. Think like a dirty capitalist.
So you could put.
Why would a dirty capitalist want to shape a sock like a tube?
So it could be more easily packaged.
Because it's cheaper.
Closer, getting warmer.
Yeah, I think Ryan is onto it. I'm going to steal Ryan's answer because it's easier to manufacture on an assembly line.
That's right. They had invented a new technology for making tube out of knit fabric, and they could produce larger, more economical batches, and they could be dyed, dried, inspected, and packaged more easily.
Good one.
So here's the sad part of the story if you're a dirty capitalist from the Nelson Knitting Company. They didn't think to patent this idea. They never patented it. So quickly,
they were
all
bad
around the
capitalists.
world. Yeah, they were. So the sock manufacturers of the world created, it just exploded because now you could make cheap socks that looked good with your short shorts. You can go out and play this newfangled sport of soccer, which was emerging in the United States, and took the world by storm. So that's everything you need to know to have a conversation at your next cocktail party about tube socks.
Yeah, maybe
I'm American
studying
Johnson.
humans.
This is tube socks story.
Maybe
time.
it really was just that they were trying to do the world a favor, like Amelia M says in the chat. They were open source socks. They started the open source movement.
Oh, I like to think that Nelson, whoever Nelson was a like an early pioneer of the open source movement, and they were like, "We will revolutionize."
And they're usually
tube
not nice.
socks.
They don't. They're just dumb. They don't realize it.
Data's dumb.
Yeah, I think it was probably I'll bet what happened was somebody walked into the office, into the meeting, the boardroom, and they were like, and the president was like, "Sales are up. Costs are down. Things are looking great for the Nelson Footwear Sock Company."
Right.
And then somebody rushed in, and it was like the new guy in like the marketing department, and he was like, Mr. Nelson, take a look at this." And he like gives him a newspaper, and the newspaper's got a big, huge headline that's like, "Nelson Footwear Socks for kids to patent tube socks. World sock industry in an uproar." And then Nelson. So then there's also this.
I see like a spinning newspaper.
Yeah, newspaper. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's another employee who's the star of the sitcom, who's the patent lawyer for the Nelson Sock Company, and he's like a new employee there, and his name is, I don't know, something like, give me a name. Harvey. Yeah. And then Nelson goes, "Harvey!" And then Harvey looks at the camera and he goes,
patent in.
Yeah. Harvey looks at the camera and he goes, "Uh-oh."
Gulp.
I shouldn't have slept underneath my desk yesterday.
I like to think when it was.
That's
I like to think when it was first brought to the board of Nelson whatever company, it was like the guy walks in and he's wearing them, right? And he does the whole thing where he comes in and he walks in and he puts he hikes one leg of his pants up and he just puts his thing on the. Here we go. Plants his leg right there on the boardroom table and he's like, "There it goes." What do you
could actually
get a look at these beauties.
I like to think of somebody who's in the gym and they're like taking off they have their shoes on so that it's hiding the tube nature of the sock. And then they take their shoe off and everyone in the gym is like, "Oh!" They gasp.
In other rooms.
Scandal.
They can't believe it. It's a tube. I like the bread maker's comment. Make sure you like and subscribe to JBYC.
Lick that like button. That's what Neko
I liked it.
Nyoko says.
I licked it.
I licked it too.
I do like puns.
Yeah, the sock.
This one's for
scribe,
Neko, by the way. Feet.
sock
It's an
scribe.
inside joke.
They're having quite a fun with the word feet in the chat. But I think tube socks. I guess they're a ubiquitous part of our lives now. But who knew they had such a colorful history?
Colorful is right, Bob, because. Sorry, that was over the top. No, but yeah, they do like. That was something I
Colorful's
forgot to
right,
mention.
Bob. You know what?
Thank you for allowing me to do this callback. I'm gonna milk it for all I can.
They do like to put stripes on the socks, though. Is one thing about
Yeah.
tube socks.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think of a lot of things. Well, you know what? You know what? How about
We got to get it together.
How about this? Ow! Okay, so that music means that we are here at the end of the episode. We made it, you guys.
Finally.
Episode 1. Halfway through Ryan's contractual obligation. What did you think? I'm exhausted and excited. So I think that's
Exhausted.
Yes. Well, you know, I sit around at home all day. That's my job, and so this is the most talking I've done to adults in a week at least. And it's
fair.
exhausting. That's it for the show. We have to figure out what our next show is going to be about. I'm going to explain how this is going to be a little bit unique on our first episode than it will be in the future. But the first thing we have to decide, well, let me explain it out of order a little bit. Normally, you, the listeners, are actually going to be the ones who decide the theme of a show for us. Okay, it's going to be a thing. We're gonna put up a vote, a poll, is what they call it. And we're going to have you guys vote on that poll about what the theme is going to be. And then we will, announce it at the end of an episode. Next show is going to be about this. But we haven't had episodes before, so we're going to pick out what it's going to be, and then we're going to put up the poll for the next episode after that. So it's a little confusing, but we're going to get into the rhythm of it. Don't worry. We, EJ, Ryan, and myself need to decide what the next episode's going to be about. And if you're in the chat room, go ahead and throw some ideas out to us while we waste some time here. Because then what we're going to do is...
I'm sorry. I keep waiting for you to stop so I could.
I don't ever
That's
stop.
never gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't ever stop.
I was gonna do this though. I was gonna go. You decide, but it's not as cool now because it didn't feel as organic. So I'm sorry.
Pocket it. Do it in a few minutes when we.
Okay, I'll put it in my pocket.
Yeah, the theme
Yeah.
could
you
be anyone. We've got a 90s hip hop. Oh, that's a really specific theme. But
If you want to watch three guys who have no idea about anything about 90s hip hop talk about 90s hip hop.
I could do that.
I know Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Yeah.
I used to listen to a little Bone Thugs and Harmony. I miss my Uncle Charles Y'all.
Circles is a good one. I'm gonna go ahead and say I like Circles. It's nice and broad enough. But Circles is kind of like downgrading from Tubes, isn't it? Don't you feel like Circles are just two-dimensional tubes?
We should just go down in dimensions
Yeah.
for the rest of the series.
Episode 3 will be
Shapist over
points.
here.
Points.
Yeah.
And then we get into the
okay,
negative dimensions.
OSU.
I'm okay if
What?
I didn't open chat because I'm a slacker. I'm okay if the one that comes out right now.
You decide.
You
Good job,
decide.
Eric.
So we're gonna go ahead and OS internet websites. There we go.
Internet websites. I like that one.
Let's say internet. We'll do internet as our next episode. So you guys, here's why it was really important for us to come up with what the next topic is going to be, because you guys need to get onto our Discord if you're not already on there, or you need to email us or get us on our contact form on our website, and give us suggestions for things to talk about. It could be news articles, it could be topics of discussion, something all around surrounding the internet, things you would like to hear us talk about on the show, so that you don't just get to hear about the boring stuff that we find interesting, you get to hear about our takes on the things that you find interesting. So the way you do that is you can either go to our Discord server, which we'll have a link to on the website. You can email JBYC show JBYC@gmail.com. And I'm going to pause for a little bit here as I say the next thing.
You decide.
There we go.
Got it.
JBYC@gmail.com. You can send us your suggestions for things to talk about having to do with.
Link to the Discord.
Why don't you handle that for me while I'm doing this? And the
Audibly, you
Gave
can
you a
just read
dad
out the.
voice.
It's like dis.cord/.
And then you can also go to jbyc.net and click on the contact form and send us your ideas there. So that took a lot longer than it should have to tell you how to contact us, but that's how you're going to do it. Next week's theme, like we said, it's already been decided. It's internets. So we'll put a poll up with some options for you guys to vote on on our Discord, and we'll put on social media on Twitter @JBYC Show. We'll put a link to like a straw poll or something where you can vote on the next 3. So what episode 3 is going to be about. So we'll get into the rhythm of this, and this will be much less convoluted in future episodes, I promise. We got
Just go
You
to
are our captain, so.
/NGB TQV.
There you go.
Ugh.
Perfect. Perfect. So thank you guys for being here. We're gonna, if you're here live on the show, which by the way, we do record this live on YouTube every Monday night at 9 p.m. If you're listening on the podcast and you'd like to show up live. We're gonna do an after show when we're done, so stick around, you guys. We're gonna hang out for a little bit longer once we end the podcast and just chit chat. So from me, from American Johnson, and from Ryan, say goodbye, guys. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye, guys, people, and everyone.
Yeah.
Have fun. Thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
You could do it. You could do it too.
Peace. Yeah, what?
It's pretty good. I like it. We should all head bop at the same time when it goes hey. That should be our thing. Like ZZ Top. You know, they do that.
Oh.